Okay, so let me just give you a brief sort of overview of why I wanted to come down and speak again. And before I really get into it, I want to cover any questions that you have or anything. Anything I gotta get used to having a thing in front of me. I don't know what this is. Anything that you wanted to bring up or any questions that you wanted to open with, you're more than welcome to. But the reason I wanted to come down, last time I talked about sexuality and how that is interwoven with our spirituality. And we covered a lot of things. Part of that was why sexuality is not something that religion in general, as we see it today, deals with in an appropriate way. So, sort of extending and continuing on from what I was talking about last time, I want to talk about what religion is in terms of how we see it generally today, where it comes from, and the spiritual implications and ramifications and origins of this sort of phenomenon that we call this phenomenon that we call religion. It's okay. It's good. So obviously, I'm going to be talking about Christianity a lot because that's the context that we come from. But these same concepts can be applied to any religion or product of religious thinking. And I want to get into what that is and where it comes from spiritually and how it is, in effect, in decline. Because that's also why I wanted to come down and talk about it, because this thing, whatever it is that we call religion, is it is in decline. Worldwide and here in the United States, that comes in the form of people leaving whatever church they've been a part of. And more people are doing that. But that's what I want to talk about, and that's what I'm going to get into. But are there any questions about anything that we've seen over the past week, or anything at all that you would like to bring up? And of course, if at any point you have questions.
This is Raina.
Hey.
Hello.
Good morning.
I had an interesting experience. I was reading a book, and I finished the book, but it was a book, kind of sci-fi and all. But at the end of the book, the main motivation of the bad guy was that he was a sleeping jihadist who had been born in the U.S. And his whole goal was to bring the U.S. to its knees, to Western society to its knees. But he's got these implants that would let him surf the web in their head or whatever. And it's a series, but I couldn't read any more books after that because that's what I found at the end of the book. Because I think the book was written in 2015, but the thought that occurred to me was that someone thinks, or the prevailing thought right now is Muslims want the U.S. to fail so much that they're willing to do something like this, have someone be born here, raised here, but raised that Islam's so great and the West is so bad that they're willing to kill or hurt everybody in the Western world. And I was like, well, gosh, why can't someone write a book from the other perspective of someone going to some some Muslim country and being born there and being a sleeper agent? And it just felt so far-fetched. But that's what we believe today. That's the narrative that has Trump elected, frankly,
Yeah, I agree. And we don't have to send sleeper agents because we just do it overtly. We don't care.
Well, also, she said that to search the world with their minds. Dell is doing that now. Dell is developing the intelligence, so you don't need no mouse. You don't need the clip.
Dell is?
Yeah.
Dell, okay.
You can search the world literally in front of your computer with your mind.
Well, they kind of
So,
they kind of have that even now, because I just started working at both rehabs that deal with people with disabilities, and they have it like, if you can't use your arms, you can move it with your eyes. They do it with your
Stephen
eyes,
Hawking.
or like it's a lot of different technology.
So that you can do what Stephen Hawking does it with his mind. The other thing, when you talk about people leaving Christianity, right? Well, what I began to see is that the same thing is happening to Islam, but in a different way. When the Crusades were, or when the Christians were doing the Crusades, it pushed people farther and further away from Christianity. Because what ISIS is doing is pushing people out of Islam, further and further away. If that's Islam, I don't want it. It's what the younger generation is saying, regardless, without regard to what the media is saying, that they're raising the younger generation to be destructive, to be murderers. They are. Some of them are. But the vast majority is saying, this is what Islam is, I don't want it. And what young Christians are saying, if this is Christianity, I don't want it. What the Jews are saying, because of what's happening to the Palestinians, if this is Judaism, I don't want it. So what's happening? We got Trump all over the world attitude. And what did that do? It began to push religion off in a corner and start searching for something different. And what brought that to my mind is that I was called to the high school yesterday by this kid who goes to this church where I once taught. He wasn't there, of course, when I was teaching. He had all of these questions about how do you understand the scriptures? Because someone had told him I see it differently. So I walked him through some things like Revelations, where it talks about the New Jerusalem, not heaven. You know, the stuff that people generally miss in the scriptures. And all of a sudden I began to realize he think he's searching for Christianity, but that's not what he wants. And because I said to him, this is what Christians teach, but this is what's actually in the scriptures. And the choice is yours. Which one? And he said, well, I have to take what's in the scriptures. So you're rejecting Christianity. You see what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So it's beginning to show itself. And the other thing that, while we're waiting for the other people, last week, what did we talk about? Feminine energy, right? Yes. We've been talking about it for 150,000 years. And our desire was to do what? To infuse ourselves into the power that exists so that it can change on a macro level. Well, during the week, when I began to think about what was happening at Fox News, I began to think that's our latest casualty. Because the Murdoch kids are changing the direction of Fox News.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
They're right. And they were actually the guy, Shiner, who requested them to give him public support. They said no. So he's on his way out. So I had to agree with Shannon. So he is on his way out. So what I'm saying is this. It's not going to be what it once was, but the reason is because of what? Disrespect for feminine energy. You see where I'm coming from? Mm-hmm. So to me, it speaks to the success of our being able to infuse light into the macro for the purpose of bringing the type of balance that's necessary for feminine energy to be what it's supposed to be. Does that make sense?
And if feminine energy can be what it's supposed to be, that automatically means masculine energy will be what it's supposed to be.
Doesn't have a choice.
So, yeah.
Because if feminine energy becomes what it's supposed to be, then it births what masculine energy is supposed to be. But there has to be a representative of masculine energy to espouse it, to embrace it, so that that energy can be in the macro. So when males are searching for something, that something that they're searching for is already in the macro. So you understand what I'm trying to say? You look at me like, oh no. But that's where I'm coming from with that. I think that's I think that's extremely important for us to recognize, because it happens so quick.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other part of it is when Donald said, and we were joking earlier, but in a real way, when he said, I didn't know this is so difficult, I really missed my other life. What he's saying is the power vacuum has been filled. There's nothing I can do. You see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So the power vacuum is being filled without anything else that we have to do other than the desires that we have. So, because honestly, when you think about it, they talk about 100 days, but a president doesn't have about 250 days a year to do anything. Because Congress is gone for the rest of the time.
Oh, that's right.
And if you don't do something by Labor Day, it's not going to be done. Why? Because after Labor Day, the 2018 election starts. Campaign starts for the 2018 election. Do you think that they're going to do anything controversial after September? No. So how many days do you have left before September? You got Memorial Day break, you got 4th of July break, then you got Labor Day break. So you don't have at best 60 days between now and September. So that's, I mean, it's something to look at. And religion does play a major part in it when religion sinks to the place where it can support a misogynistic, racist, like Bannon and Trump, something is bad and wrong. Nothing has changed in regards to that.
But he needed this lesson because all through campaign you say it's easy.
Right.
Build a wall, it's easy. We'll do this, it's easy. And so when they put his statement that it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, and then they ran where all from snippets from his campaign where he says it's easy, it's easy, it's easy, it's easy. He just needed this check. The system checked him.
Yep. I believe if he could, he would have already quit if it wouldn't destroy just his entire reputation even more.
He had a
than,
better life from his perspective.
yeah, he would have already quit if it was socially acceptable to do so.
Well, I'm going to tell you the reason I think they're not going any harder. One of the reasons I think they're not is because they are connecting Pence to everything. That he knew everything because he had the transition team. And he knew that Kelly was a foreign agent. He knew that. He knew he hadn't registered. So connect him to that. Now you don't have to worry about it. Why? Now you don't have to worry about it. Why? The reason you don't have to worry about it is because Pence can't take his spot. Why? Because he's guilty too. So where do you go from here? Oh, Secretary of State can't take his spot because he's guilty too. You see? All of these things are falling in place when you talked about the destruction of this society, right? The society, it needs to be destroyed. And I'm not talking about the way that they're talking about ISIS, etc. But this society needs to be destroyed. This is the most corrupt, racist, misogynistic society that the world has ever known.
And much of the history of the development of religion as we see it today is the rise of that source of misogyny and corruption.
That's what justifies it.